lose. So David McDarby probably siding out his show and tells here. Wouldn't be surprised at all.
I don't know if he can side out his show and tells. I think
he has to go pure sneak attack.
Really?
I really do.
Wow. I think that show and tell can basically be a paretic ritual for sneak attack, and that's an okay thing for it to be. But that he has to then put 22 power on board, or at least get an Emrakul in.
Yeah, because if he can attack John and destroy the Hive Mind with the Annihilator trigger, then he'll be okay. All right, David McDarby on the left, Jace himself.
Yeah.
David McDarby,
an avid cosplayer.
Yeah, you may recognize him. He occasionally at Magic tournaments is dressed up as Jace the Mind Sculptor. First time I saw him, I thought he was Ezreal from League of Legends. So every time I see him, I'm like, who needs a map? And he gets the joke because he plays the game, so it's pretty fun. But, hey, he's playing against John Howell. I don't know much about John Howell, but I do like Hive Mind.
Yeah, no, Hive Mind, I played that for a while. I really liked it. At the end of the day, I wasn't a huge fan of the Emrakuls and eventually went for a mono Hive Mind plan. Just because Emrakul is so often a liability in this format. It's really, really risky against Maverick. The Jace decks can just show and tell in an extra land, play untap, play a land, and Jace your Emrakul. So you really want a Hive Mind against most of the format. And eventually, I figured out that that was too fragile and went back to the more disruptive decks that we see littering this top 8.
Seems to make sense. Yeah, and I mean, Rug Delver traditionally does pretty well against combo, so let's see how this goes.
Yeah. Can I see the other list?
Now, some other interesting things going on in this top 8. So Sean French, he's playing the blue-white Miracle deck that we saw on camera earlier today, and that was his only loss all day today.
Yeah, we've seen it on camera twice.
Oh, we watched it during the round I was off also?
Yeah. Handily dispatched a green-white Maverick deck, just lined up very, very well. And the Rogue Factor actually worked in his favor, as Maverick kept in Swords to Plowshares, anticipating that this was just a more controlling version of Blue-White Stoneblade.
Awesome.
There are no Stoneforge Mystics to be found in this Terminus and in Treat the Angels
monstrosity, yeah. So something a lot of people might be interested in, Benjamin McDole. You may know him. He's a level 3 judge. I've seen him judging all the time.
Yeah.
And he is in this top 8 playing a Dreamhall deck. All right, anyway, we're off. And David McDarby didn't lose a match so far today. He's going to be on the play here. The new play draw rule is in effect. John Howell, I'm going to lead things off with an Underground Sea and a Ponder. That Ancient Tomb for David could mean something like a show and tell into Boom Boom as early as the second turn. All right, John finishes resolving his Ponder. I'm going to pass the turn back over to David. David, with the blue source in hand now, I'm going to play that Scalding Tarn and pass the turn. Has 2 Brainstorms in hand. Looks like he does have a show and tell. Needs something to show and tell into play. But like I said before, the show and tell is very dangerous because if John happens to have a Hive Mind in his hand, David could get punished really badly. Yeah,
I think David really wants to show and tell in a sneak attack, plus have a red source available to immediately attack John with at least an Emrakul.
Seems to make sense. Yeah, so David's going to have to put together quite a bit of stuff. He's going to win this first game.
David has his first real decision whether to keep passing on one blue source or crack his fetch land, get a land, cast Brainstorm, and hope to peel his way out of this standstill that he's found himself in.
Yeah, now, something that's interesting. I mean, with most fair decks, when you're playing Brainstorm, kind of holding on a Brainstorm until the last possible moment is almost always right. But when you're playing a combo deck, like David is, holding on to a Brainstorm can sometimes be a really dangerous thing.
Right. Because time comes into play so much more when you're a combo deck than when you're a controlling deck that just wants the game to go longer. David wants to get John dead. And Brainstorm is a way to dig deeper, not necessarily a way to put back the 2 worst cards in his deck. He may not have time to draw the worst 2 cards in his deck. And what we're seeing right now, I believe, is a lack of a second blue source, which is going to severely crimp David's options.
It sends back that City of Traders.
And probably a cantrip.
Yep, it's Ponder on top.
He's going to redraw the Ponder, cast Ponder, see City and 2 unknown cards, and has to pretty much shove away anything that isn't a blue-producing land.
Exactly. Best case scenario would be Volcanic Island and a Sneak Attack in those top 2 cards.
Yeah.
John Howell searches up a Volcanic Island, puts that into play. I believe that Underground Sea is untapped now.
Not sure.
All right, so I guess it was end step. So no worries. Let's see. Is John going to continue cantripping, or is he going to try to go off this turn? It's going to be difficult. David does have multiple Force of Wills in hand.
I think he's content to cantrip for another turn. David missed his land drop, and he can just cast Brainstorm, improve his hand, play another land, and actually be pretty okay.
Yeah, as long as he's playing lands and David isn't, he's getting ahead.
Right.
And it's going to be really important that David hits a land on this next turn, otherwise he's going to start having to discard. Ancient Tomb gets tapped by John Howell, and I believe this is going to be a Grim Monolith. Grim Monolith, a very powerful artifact, recently unbanned. Mirrors' block. Costs 2 colorless mana, taps for 3 colorless mana, and you can pay 4 colorless mana to untap it.
Yeah. It is essentially show and tells 5 through 8 for Hivemind. The idea being that you can cast it off of a 2-mana land and hard cast Hivemind on turn 2.
Seems to make sense. So a Ponder, played by David, like expected, and does not find a blue source in these top 3 cards.
Yeah, those go back.
I'm going to have to ship that back. Really hoping to find a fetch land or a Volcanic Island on the top of his deck here. Let's see, so will he find it?
The problem that he has is that he's playing 4 Lotus Petal, and then for permanent blue sources, 2 Volcanic Island, 2 Island, and then 8 blue fetch lands. He's not that favored to find a permanent blue source. His deck is very unstable, and it's very land light.
Yeah, it's supposed to be explosive, but in a matchup like this, it's often very dangerous.
Yeah. He cut lands to fit in more disruption in the form of Spell Pierce and Misdirection. Cards that are often seen in the sideboard, but rarely in the main deck. And clearly, those cards have served him well so far in the tournament, but they may be coming back to hurt him here.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't lost a match yet.
Yeah.
John Howell, contemplating whether or not he's going to crack this fetch land right at this very moment. Instead, decides to just pass the turn. David draws an Intuition. Pretty good draw step for him. Cast a Ponder. Again, digging for this blue source. And he finds it.
Well, he finds pedal, right?
Well, it's a polluted delta.
Oh, okay.
So
Is there a pedal in that stack as well?
I believe there's also a pedal. I believe it's Brainstorm, Pedal, Polluted Delta.
Okay.
Yes, on the top of his library right now. So keeps the Polluted Delta, obviously. I'm going to play that, and now you can pass the turn with Intuition open.
Intuition and triple Force of Will.
Yep, and a Daze. It may be quite difficult for John to any sort of comboage through the amount of stuff that David has in hand right now. David probably going to hold on to this Intuition a little bit. Doesn't look like he has an Emrakul or a Gristlebrand in hand, so it's not really worth it for him to go get his sneak attack.
He has a very good disruption hand, but his actual threats are rather light.
John here. It's looking like John is having trouble finding a hive mind. And maybe if David just Intuitions End Step and goes hunting for an Emrakul and then casts Show and Tell, he'll be in a really good spot. But I believe that's an Intuition in John Howell's hand.
Of note, David McDarby, in order to actually win after a Show and Tell, needs to just kill John at this point, because an Annihilator trigger will only take out his mana sources and leave the hive mind intact.
Yep.
So David now needs Sneak Attack, Gristlebrand, and an Emrakul in the top 14 cards.
Well, not anymore. John just takes an additional 2 damage off his Ancient Tomb, and that puts him at 14.
Ooh.
So now the Emrakul is actually lethal with the attack, so no longer matters. An Intuition from John. David, probably going to say this is okay. Tanks a bit, though. I mean, it's a powerful spell, but the nice thing about a card like Intuition, especially when you're playing against Hive Mind and you've seen your opponent's deck list, is that when you have triple Force in hand, you know that you can just counter whatever your opponent gets with the Hive Mind.
Unless, of course, he gets 3 green pacts, in which case you're probably dead.
Yes.
Or 3 blue pacts.
I mean, I imagine he's going to grab 3 Hive Minds.
Yeah. I believe I saw at least 1 blue pact in his hand.
All right, now John Howell deciding what he's going to do here with this Intuition. I'd be extremely surprised if he didn't just grab 3 Hive Minds.
I'm actually pretty surprised that he hasn't already made his decision. I find that a useful rule of tutoring is to already know what you're going to get when you cast your tutor.
Yes.
Rethinking your line should happen before you commit mana and a card.
And I think he's deciding whether or not he wants to just grab Emrakul and Show and Tell that into play. Or attempt to. And he decides to go with the Flying Spaghetti Monster, Emrakul, the Eon's Torn. And that's going to go to his hand. But now he's going to have to resolve a Show and Tell. And even if he does, David can Intuition for his own set of Emrakuls and come over the top. Or perhaps David would rather Intuition for Gristlebrand. And then on his next turn, he can draw 21 cards, or rather 14 cards. And with 14 cards, he may be able to sneak and show. He may be able to just sneak and attack John out by Legend ruling away the Emrakul.
And then putting in yet another.
Way back up with Gristlebrand and then putting another Emrakul into play. Alright, so John, coming 3, decides to go with the Show and Tell.
How aggressive would David like to be? Truly, aggressive versus conservative.
Yeah, I mean, David has a bunch of counter magic in hand, so would not really be the end of the world for him to force this, but at the same time, I feel like you have the intuitions in your deck. You have the Emrakul, you have the Griselbrand. You know that John just searched for the 3 15/15s.
I like fighting a high resource fight when you have that much protection and that little action. Because once you start peeling the action, you already have everything you need right there.
All right, David does decide to go ahead and force a will to show and tell, though. And John's going to force that back. And this could give David the opportunity to intuition.
I would definitely cast Intuition for Griselbrands.
Although it is dangerous, because the intuition for Griselbrand will put David down to 15. Alright, going to 17 here. Using another Force of Will. And a Pact of Negation. Comes out for John. And that Pact of Negation going to be really mana intensive for John next turn, but he does have plenty.
Wow. David
Third
committing
force.
all of his forces.
His whole hand.
His whole hand, I believe, saved the Intuition, right? Pitching Show and Tell, Daze, and Brainstorm. His last card is the Intuition.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to hold on to anything, it should be the Intuition.
Absolutely. Nothing better than Demonic Tutor, really. Brainstorm. Not a bad draw.
Not at all.
Do you fire here?
I don't think so. I think you just say go. Generally, is 2 cards left. All right.
Pact paid.
John pays for the fact. Trying himself down to 13. Alright, now, let's see, there's a Brainstorm.
Drew
Brainstorming
Lotus
fine.
Petal for his turn, draws Volk, Basic Island, and Sneak Attack. Can now Intuition for Emrakul. Yeah, he just puts back 2 lands. No, he puts back the 2 lands, keeps the Lotus Petal, Intuitions for Emrakuls, and then untaps and casts Sneak Attack on the tap out, Lotus Petal, red, Sneak Emrakul, and kill him.
Yep. It does all have to work out, though. Alright, David cracking this blue to Delta. Grabs the island off the top of his deck.
Could also, I guess, just keep one of the lands, as he did.
It also works.
Yeah. So long as he has 5 mana sources in one turn.
You know, here, I mean, it still just seems so bad for David.
Really?
The amount that, yeah, I think the amount that he has to assemble in order to beat John's deck is just too great. Oh, but he has the Sneak Attack. That's going to be a
He
huge help for
brainstormed
him.
into that one.
Oh, I didn't see when he brainstormed to that.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent.
No, he just needs
So-
to Intuition plus Emrakul next turn.
Yeah, and then he's absolutely fine. Better than fine, even.
Has won the
And,
game.
Yeah, John falling to 10 here. Gonna search library for a land.
The thing
and
is,
looking to dispatch of David entirely next turn. Because if he doesn't kill David next turn,
John casts Force of Will off of Grim Monolith and 2 blue sources.
yeah, Grim Monolith's a pretty powerful card. Alright. John deciding whether or not he can win right now. Another Grim Monolith coming from John. And he does have the 4 mana on tap, so he's going to be able to untap the other Grim Monolith. On
He's
David's
actually
end step.
really close to just hard casting Emrakul.
Yeah, and I think that might just be what he's going for. He has the Emrakul in hand.
He basically
And,
needs another 2-mana land.
Well, he has 11 land in play right now. Or 11 mana available to him, rather, on his turn. Oh, no, he has 13. You're right.
Yeah,
I missed the Ancient Tomb.
Yeah.
Okay, so In Intuition gets cast by David McDarby. He's
Probably getting show and tells.
Going to be grabbing a
Sneak attacks, rather.
a set of sneak attacks. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No.
Or Emrakul's wants to just reshuffle his action.
Yeah, I mean, David, again here, pretty rough spot. It's so awkward because...
This entire matchup is just really awkward.
Yeah, I mean, it's very strange because, show and telling is just so dangerous when both people have access to Emrakul.
Yeah.
And David has Gristlebrand, and John has Hive Mind. It's just all these things that are super volatile and can just kill you at just about any time. And now David, like John, has his Eldrazi in hand. And a Spell Pierce from David off the top.
Untap my Monolith. Man, are we going to get to see a hardcast Emrakul?
I think so.
14. This would be an awesome way to end.
Yeah, this would definitely be a pretty incredible game.
Just the full-on tearing eons retail. I wouldn't activate here. Yeah. I think that's an island? Yeah.
It's an island. You just cast Emrakul, right?
Yeah, man. What?
I didn't say anything.
No. He just passes.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really make much sense for him to just pass there. Like, he can just cast Emrakul, right?
Sea Valk is 3. Island is 6. Misty is 7. Tomb is 9. Monolith is 12. Monolith is 15. And he pays 3 life.
Huh, so... Oh, he didn't have any more basics to search for.
He built his deck in a way so that he... Ooh. No, that's brutal.
Yeah, if he had had another land that he could search for and produce mana with, he would have won that game.
All of his mana sources were in play that he could fetch.
Mm-hmm. All right, coming back to us.
That's brutal.
Yeah, so far we've seen one game, David McDarby able to dispatch of John Howell in a very difficult matchup. Now I'm going to ask you guys a question. You're going to need to tweet your answers into hashtag SCG Premium, and you will have an opportunity to win 3 free months of Star City Games Premium. There's somebody who writes premium columns for StarCityGames.com. They're a former Player of the Year in Magic the Gathering. Currently, as we're sitting here, they are battling in the top 8 of a Grand Prix. It's happening in the United States.
Somewhere.
So I would like to know what Star City Games premium columnist and former Player of the Year is currently in the top 8 of a Grand Prix.
Good question. I wish I knew the answer.
I mean, I'm excited to find out the answer too. Everybody tweet that in to hashtag SCG Premium. You can also tweet it to me if you want. You can tweet it to Drew if you want.
You can tweet it to SCG Live if you want. You probably will. But remember to use hashtag SCG Premium.
That's the only way you have a shot to win. Because the person who picks out the winner is a terrible, terrible person who doesn't feel like reading your post if, they're, tagged to somebody else.
Oh, we made Jeremy cry.
Jeremy's the best. We love Jeremy. All right, and we're going to go back to this game now. John Howell, looking at his sideboard, he has 3 red elemental blasts, so the rebs are definitely coming in. Besides that, it doesn't really look like he has much in the way of sideboard cards. Looking at David's sideboard, he has 4 red blasts, 2 power blasts, and oh no, he only has 2 power blasts. The other ones are bebs. Yeah, so I think David only really has 2 Pyroblasts to bring in. So he'll be bringing in those Pyroblasts, and...
So here's the thing. If you're David, do you bring in your blue elemental blasts to try and hit the Pact of the Titans? Because it's an asymmetrical counter, right? Like, one of the big deals about Hivemind is that once it's in play, symmetrical counters, that is, unconditional ones, like Counterspell and Force of Will, don't work anymore.
Yeah, because the Hivemind player can just copy it and counter it.
Right, and copy it with the same. So if you cast Counterspell, they get a Counterspell, they counterspell your Counterspell with their copy. Blue Elemental Blast can't counter itself.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
So you can, if they roll out spell. Pact of the Titan, Pact of Negation, and you target their Pact of the Titan with your Pact of Negation, and then with all of that on the stack, Blue Elemental Blast that Pact, you're okay.
Yeah.
You only have your Pact of the Titan to care for.
That's one thing that's nice about conditional counterspells. A lot of people, when Hivemind was extremely popular, were even considering playing Nyx in their sideboards.
Yeah.
For this express purpose.
Daze seems a little better, given that you can just daze your copy, and as long as you have an untapped land, they can't daze your daze effectively.
Yeah, I mean,
that's one of the reasons
you can just
why
say, I'm not going to pay my days.
Right.
And if they try to daze your days, you can just pay 1 mana.
Right. It's one of the reasons why Rec Delver is as good as it is against Hivemind.
All right. Looks like the players are beginning to present their decks. David, studying over the deck list of John Howell. Something that's really nice about being in the top 8 of an event is that you get to see your opponent's deck list before you play. This lets you make a lot more informed decisions. And as a result, you usually see matches that are much tighter once you're into the top 8.
Right. They can actually play around everything with perfect information.
Yep. All right. Both of these players are going down to 6 cards right now. Who do you think this matchup favors once on 6 cards?
I still like Hivemind. I think
Hivemind has a pretty big edge in this matchup. I'm quite surprised that David was able to take down the first game. And if it weren't for, to be honest, if it weren't for the extra little bit of damage...
If it weren't for that meddling Misty Rainforest, if that were a City of Traders instead, we could have seen a hard-cast Emrakul.
Definitely. Yeah, but John, his only mana-producing lands that he can fetch up are 1 Underground Sea, 2 Volcanic Island, and 3 Island. So he had all 6 in play.
Wow. So I guess it was right to crack that Misty, but he just wasn't thinking in terms of that. Needed to draw a 2-mana land. That's so sick.
Yeah. John seems to be in good spirits here. I think he likes his hand. David, much more concentrated at the moment. All right, it looks like both players are now going down to 5 cards.
Oh boy.
I'm trying to think of both players going to 5 cards combo. First combo matchups are often very funny to watch.
A cripple fight, as it were.
Yeah, it's the non-PC term for it,
I suppose.
Yeah, those are some of my favorite types of Magic matches when both people just have, like,
nothing
can't
going
do
on.
Anything.
Attack each other with Nettle Sentinels.
Yeah, and they're like you're just like in these really weird race math situations where you just have to find out like when it's right to just like throw guys away and things like that. I really like when both people are doing absolutely nothing. That's my favorite kind of Magic.
You mean like last game, where both players just discarded 6 cards and went at it from the top of their decks?
Well, it's different. It's like when both people have like nothing going on. Like that game, the whole time both people were setting something up.
Sure.
Sometimes you don't even know what you're trying to set up.
You're just hoping that you get some sort of plan.
You're playing pin the tail on the donkey.
Yeah. You cast Brainstorm, you have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
You just know
That's
that you
one of
didn't
the really
crack
fun
this
parts
special
about
in
the
for a
deck
good reason.
the deck that Lou played this weekend, the Mono Blue Architect deck. You know, when you're playing 8 clones in your deck, there's so many opening hands where you just have no idea what's going to happen. It's just, you know, a big adventure. It's a choose your own adventure book.
Yeah. They played Stringer Root, guys? Cool, copy it.
I'll copy your Stringer Root, guys. Copy your Titan. All right, looks like one of the matches over there has ended. We'll find out what that is for you guys.
Looks like Ben McDowell's match, for better or for worse, is over.
Yeah, so what do you think you would play in a Legacy tournament next week based on the results of this week's tournament? All right, anyway, we're off. An Ancient Tomb for John Howell on turn 1, answered by a Polluted Delta on turn 1 from David McDarby. John with the turn 2 Underground Sea.
I see Hive Mind, Intuition, Force of Will, City of Traders, I believe, in John's hand. And Force, what looks like Sneak Attack, City of Traders, Brainstorm in David's hand.
I mean, playing the City of Traders is a bit dangerous.
Right.
But not playing it is also a bit odd. Alright, now,
what's that do?
He's making sure it's when you play a land,
Not when a land comes
into play. And it is when you play a land. It's
Correct.
not when a land comes into play.
You can activate Polluted Delta with City of Traders on the table and
City of Traders will stay there.
Retain possession.
So John Howell, now with a, looks to me like Show and Tell and a Hive Mind in his hand. Wonder if he has any sort of Titans in there, or rather Pacts. Sorry, I'm so used to saying Titans from watching Standard. Alright, so David, going to crack this Polluted Delta and cast Intuition.
That one.
This one.
Do you force will here?
I don't think you can force the Intuition. I'd rather just force what he gets with the Intuition.
Sure.
Also, I think John's hand right now...
You can't really pitch your Hive Mind.
Yeah, like losing your Hive Mind is so much value. Especially just to counter their tutor when they redraw value. Like on this next draw step, you just draw it anyway.
Ooh. You never like to see them Intuition for petals. It usually means that you're dead.
Yes, it does.
I would like 1 more mana with which to kill you, please.
Yeah, John Howell's got to know that he's probably
Really
dead
dead
right now.
And McDarby has Force Protection.
Yep.
Like a champ.
So, and Daze Protection. So,
Wow.
Lotus Petal.
Would you like to counter that one?
Yep. And Sneak Attack. What do you say, Jay? John's going to answer that with a Force of Will. And
I think he's going to have to throw away his Hive Mind.
Yeah, I don't know if he has another blue card in hand. He might, but
Me either.
the only one I've seen really is the Hive Mind, so. Pitching that, definitely painful for John.
I don't know if he can force a will pitching Hive Mind. I think he's just dead if he does.
And chooses to force Will pitching his Hive Mind. And David going to go ahead and force this, pitching a Spell Pierce.
passes with the intimidating sneak attack in play.
Yeah, can John find a way out of this? I mean, David does not have an Umrakal or a Grizzlebrand in hand. So
Basically,
he's going to
as
have
soon
to draw
as he peels his 7-outer, plus any redraws,
yeah,
John's pretty
completely good. And David, you know, this is a really tough matchup for him. I'm really surprised he was able to win it so fast. So an intuition from John, that's going to find exactly what he needs, whatever that is.
Hive minds, right?
One would assume he's going to try to get Hive Mind and win next turn, but... Wow, searching for show and tells, huh?
I suppose the rationale here is that he already has a sneak attack, and if he can show and tell on a creature, he can just sneak it into play anyway.
Seems reasonable enough. However, what does he even have in his hand to sneak attack?
You mean to show and tell?
Yes, to show and tell, rather.
I'm not sure.
Alright, so David draws the City of Traders, not really going to do anything.
Has Force Days City, passes the turn. Just waiting.
John drawing a second Force.
Has Force show and tell. And mystery card. And the mystery card, by the way, a 15/15.
Yep. So at this point, John could pretty easily win. And does David have? Ooh.
Really? He peeled it? The exact card that
through the turn he needed it.
So he's going to draw 14 here. And if he draws a red source and an Emrakul.
He's drawing 14 cards, so it's actually not that unlikely that that happens.
I agree. But his Lotus Petals are all gone. Well, mostly all gone.
There's still one left. Has not played a land yet.
Yeah.
There's the one Lotus Petal.
And the Lotus Petal in the window.
Alright, so a Lotus Petal. He has...
And the Emrakul.
He has the Emrakul. Going to shuffle these back up.
Wow.
And David now at 10. If he wants, he can...
The absolute perfect draw by David McDarby.
Yeah, well, I mean, wasn't necessarily perfect. It took some time to put together, but he drew the Grizzlebrand the turn he needed it.
I agree.
And when you're playing a combo deck, a lot of the time that's how you win games.
Yeah.
Both players cutting each other's decks after some searching. Now, Grizzlebrand going to get activated again. David going down to 3.
Do you like this activation? The timing on it specifically?
It's fine. I don't think it really makes that much of a difference. Grizzlebrand, what a powerful effect.
14 cards for 14 life. Not bad.
Not bad at all.
I'm so sad that it was too powerful at 7 mana. And lest we forget, it has haste and it attacks.
Alright, so David casting a Preordain.
Bottoms the Lotus Petal, keeps the Brainstorm.
I appreciate that. Keeping Brainstorms, generally a good thing.
His Grizzlebrand is dead, right? He snuck that into play.
Yep.
Ordering his graveyard correctly.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to have to be really clear about this stuff. when you're playing these combo decks, that's one of the most important things is to always retain clarity, especially when conversing with your opponent. It's important to have that, chatter trail so that you can explain what happened to a judge in case there's some sort of ruling going on.
Right. Of note, the Gristlebrand Peel was actually even sicker than a 4-outer. It was just a 3-outer.
Yep.
But
You
again,
could have gotten a Morocco also.
he plays for it.
All right, so John Howell has Umezawa's Jite in hand.
His what?
I'm sorry, I just...
Grim Monolith?
Grim Monolith. On the top there.
It's okay. We've all played enough cube drafts.
Yeah, my brain just all of a sudden died.
Which one do you pick? Pack one, pick one. Grim Monolith, Umezawa's Jite.
The way I draft cube, I take Coalition Relic over either.
Okay, let's say that it's 13 Savannah Lions, that, and Umezawa's Jite. 13 cards that are less powerful. They don't all attack and block.
Jit, probably.
Okay.
All right, Brainstorm from David McDarby. We're going to look at the top 3 here. And this game has been pretty epic, all things considered.
Yeah. This is a really good match. For how awkward we thought it would be going in, this is actually a very, very good match.
Yeah, lots of tight play here from both players. David here does find a Gristlebrand. Going to be able to sneak that one into play. So sneaky.
Can peel another 7 if you would so desire.
Yep. Going to draw 7 cards. And how many blue sources does David McDarby play? He has 1 mountain.
12 permanent.
And 2 volcanic islands. Those volcanic islands aren't in his graveyard, are they? I know the 1 mountain is.
So.
Oh, Lotus Petal. Red, yeah. And then Emrakul.
That's 22,
and that's
boys.
And wow, David McDarby wins a match that we thought was extremely difficult.
Yeah. I don't think either of us would have put David as the favorite to win that.
Not at all.